Are we going to be YouTube stars?
Might be. Our stars.
I hope not, because that means that I did something real embarrassing.
Thankfully, we hadn't become stars yet.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, we're back out of recess. I show it to be 3:11 p.m. On the 22nd day of July 2020. The next presenters that we have here for 2021 budget is for our insurance provider. And so I'm going to turn it over to y'all.
Okay, Judge, I'm gonna go over a couple of things that my office produces, and then whatever else we have in here, they will take over. So I kind of would like for y'all to go to this page right here, which is the cash balance.
Okay.
And I give you this every year, just showing where we're at. I'm gonna take this thing off. Where we're at as of December 31st of each year. And then on the last one is where we were at July 15th of this year. As far as the cash balance goes in the bank account. Okay? The next report is, I want to show you, is for the county medical cost analysis. And this is just going over the a few years and how we did on the medical. So in the, of course, the graph reflects the numbers below by color. Okay? And the next graph is our prescription drug, and it's the same thing for the comparable years on how the expenses are at the end of each year for that year. And that's all my department's done. I'm going to hand it over to Jason and let him go over the big numbers with y'all.
Okay.
All right, thank you guys for having us. And again, my name is Jason Potter. I'll be taking over for Bill Hartsfield going forward. What we want to present to you guys in your packet on the right-hand side is first it's first going to be an analysis of your high-cost claimants. So this is just a running list. It is categorized by the second to last column, which is going to be your total paid claims on the plan. The prior two columns before that will show what has been paid out in medical expenses and what's been paid out in pharmacy expenses. And that last column is going to include any stop-loss reimbursements that the plan has received. So if you recall how your plan works, you have a $40,000 specific stop-loss level on each individual person. Any claims that exceed that stop-loss limit are therefore reimbursed. And so those amounts are shown there in that far right column. Do want just to note that the prescription drug is included in the stop-loss reimbursements, whereas it wasn't prior to us going on and making that adjustment. So it did allow us to have some reimbursements that we would not have had if that change was not made. But you can see the total number of those reimbursements paid back to the plan. And then, of course, just the high-cost claimants that we're incurring this plan year. Any questions on that report? Pretty straightforward when you see where the numbers are coming from.
And if you notice, we've got, I'm seeing 5, Julie, on stop
Yeah,
loss.
5
that last
that-
one
yes.
Yes.
Came on recently.
And you see that the next two after that, those 5 are pretty close to reaching that reimbursement level of $40,000. So we could probably anticipate some more reimbursements coming our way.
And that goes through January, right?
Yes, sir,
Yes.
through the plan year.
So they probably will.
So those first 5, you're done with the expense on them for the remainder of the year, thankfully. And hopefully you won't have too many more that reach that stop-loss level.
And this report continues on for 3 pages. On that third page, it just provides you with the sum total there at the bottom in the blue in the blue rows. So now the total allowed, what was paid out in medical in total for the 6 months that are on this report, as well as pharmacy, and then the total paid amount. The next report that you'll have from the Texas Association of Counties is just your aggregate stop-loss report. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm out of order. You're going to have your Blue Cross financial overview and financial summary. This is a 10,000, 20,000 foot overview of how the health plan is running. There in that first chart, you see it's a medical order of reduction, and so it's going to tell you the amount of claims billed, what was not covered, and not covered could be for improper coding or services that are just not covered by the health plan. You see what the covered amount was and the discount amount too. So the discount amount speaks to the strength of the network that we're utilizing with Blue Cross and Blue Shield in this area. And you see that discount actually increased this year for covered services by 45%. Other items to note is just the paid provider claims and the medical paid claims. These two columns on this chart comparing the 6 months, the first 6 months of 2019 to the first 6 months of 2020. So just a cross-section study there between how the plan was performing last year to how it's performing this year. And we did see a 6% increase in medical claims. Any other thing on that one you want to
I don't
talk?
think so.
Okay.
I think that's good.
And then the last one is going to be your report from the Texas Association of Counties. And this is, again, your aggregate stop-loss report running from January to June of 2020. And so when you're reading this report, the very left column is just going to detail the month during the plan and then the employee enrollment during that plan as well. Your maximum claim liability is the total liability that that the county would have for claims incurred in that month, and that's what we use for our funding measurement there. So you can see how that amount fluctuates with the enrollment. The maximum claim liability year to date is just a running total of all those amounts, and then we get into our actual paid claims, and so we see there what was paid in medical expenses January through June. Likewise with pharmacy January through June, and then the total paid amount in the middle column there. I will note to you that total paid column does not account for stop-loss reimbursement. That's going to be accounted for here in just a couple columns, but that will just tell you the total claims that were paid for the plan. Then you go 2 columns over, and that's where we see our reimbursements coming in. So as those employees incur claims of excess of 40, money start coming back, and these are the amounts that are accumulated by each month for the sum total of $191,000 there at the bottom of that column. And then the adjusted paid claims month to date is just a net paid claims, your gross claims minus your reimbursements. So you see down there at the bottom, they have some figures for you. So your year-to-date maximum aggregate claims, so our maximum liability that we have year-to-date is $743,615. What's expected, what the health care underwriters expect you to run was about $566,739. Now, year-to-date claims, you see there that we have exceeded those amounts there, but less the reimbursed claims gets us to our total of $623,524 in net paid claims. So if we look at that number versus our aggregate or versus our expected claims, we're running a little bit above 100% of expected claims, but we're still beneath our aggregate total for the year. And the percentage numbers at the bottom, I realize I say 110% of aggregate and 143 of expected. That's taken the total paid claims, the gross paid claims, not the net claims, into account there. Then your last report's just going to, do they have teledoc utilization?
Yes.
Okay. Then the last report is just going to be a report here from Teladoc. This is your telemedicine provider. This is a utilization report showing the number of visits, the membership, and the registrations during the reporting period and also year to date. And so this has obviously had a significant uptick in value as well as utilization with our current situation. And we see good numbers here as far as utilization. We obviously had a lot there in March at the onset of everything, but that's what we want to see out of this, is when we need to have an alternative to an in-office visit, that we're utilizing the benefits appropriately and expected to see that spike and this type of utilization given the current situation right now. So it's a good thing. But just some numbers there for you. The average response time for an employee that they submit to have a physician call them, response time is about 54 minutes. That's just expected right now because of the volume. Usually that's a lot less. That's probably half, if not a third of that time right there. And then the savings year to date, what they calculate that on is they take a survey at the end of the call. Had you not called, tell a doc where would you have gone, and based on those charges, they can run a savings report for you. So we saved about $18,500 by utilizing the telemedicine benefit.
Yeah, I used it 3 weeks ago. And
Yeah.
They responded back to me in an hour's time.
Yeah. Which is, you take into account the time that you spend at a doctor's office, you're breaking even there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, especially, nowadays, you don't want to go or not.
You don't want to go in the
And
doctor's
doctor doesn't
office.
want you to come by.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They don't want you to.
So as far as the remainder of this year, I think we'll talk about the remainder of 2020 and going into 2021. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. So as we're looking there right now, as I just showed you in the cash balance, that we have about $778,000 in reserves right now for claims and administrative costs. We annualize out our expected claims of what we presented to the Commissioner's Court before renewal last year. We anticipate about $1.13 million in claims. That's what your expected claims is from the plan. Right now, our funding is about 1.17, so we're funding right to about expected claims. But as we know, we have an expected claims number and a maximum claims number, which is about 25% in excess of the expected. And so, as we're funding straight towards the expected claims, we're also incurring administrative costs in there as well. So I understand that there is, at the end of the calendar year, there's a reconciliation of some revenue that some money is attributed to the claims fund. If that is something that is going to continue, then I believe that our current funding method should suffice. If that is in any way threatened, I would consider a change in your contributions, just to make sure that since we are funding to expected, not to our maximum liability, that we provide ourselves with some padding there. But that bump that we receive at the beginning of each year is enough to really get us to where we need to go. But that is one thing that we do want to keep an eye on, and Ida's office does a good job of keeping their eyes on that cash flow in that account to see if that will be sufficient enough to cover claims costs for the upcoming year. But that's one of the considerations that we wanted to provide for you guys as far as going forward. Now, as far as what we can anticipate for a renewal, right now, as we were looking at the numbers, about 105% of expected claims, so running right at or just right above where we expect to be as far as claims goes. Medical trend right now is probably trending around 8%, 7-8%. And then you're also looking at probably absorbing a little bit of an increase because we are running above what is expected. So if you take about 5% in excess of expected plus a 7%, 8% trend, you're looking at about 13% increase there. However, you guys have the luxury of being within the benefit pool of Texas Association of Counties. So you are buoyed by a larger population, a larger risk pool. So we would probably anticipate you having a similar renewal than what we did this last year, which was in the 7% range. That's what I think we can anticipate at this point, assuming that our claims run as they have for the first half of the year. If they continue for the second half of the year, which they ran a little hot, right, above expected, anticipating a 13%, absorb that into the pool, it'd probably trend down to about a single-digit increase, 7-8%, which would be right in line with what we've absorbed in the past.
Well, I don't anticipate us being changing anything as far as sweeping our accounts and putting that money in there in January. So,
That's great.
And I think another thing to consider is that with COVID right now,
hospitals. We're not in doctor's offices. There's no procedures that are elect procedures. And so underwriters will see that as we term it, a non-credible dip, but it's a dip nonetheless. And so that is something that is going to play. It's a blessing and a curse for us right now. And in this case, it could be a blessing. And so we'll see a dip in claims for the middle part of the year, probably going into the third quarter of the year as well. But I think that will get us back to, like I said, a similar increase to what we've seen in past years.
Anybody got any questions?
No, that's a lot better than it did a year or two ago.
Yes, it does. It does look better. I did have a question. Do y'all work with any of the TAC pool with the funded plan right now? It's fully funded.
We don't. I get information on their fully funded plans. They do a webinar each year, and I attend both the fully funded webinar and then a self-funded webinar. Like their fully funded pool this year is getting a red pass. I don't have any clients that are in it where I could see specific, loss information and everything or what their premiums are.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah.
Because I've seen them. Actually, they've tried to get us to go to a fully funded plan, and the cost is like $1,100 per employee per month. And that's one thing I wanted to point out to the board is that as being self-insured, we contribute $550 and of course the $500,000 or so that we have been doing at the beginning of the year. But the money stays with us, So once you go to a full funded plan, we pay the premium and it's on.
Right, there's no way to win in that situation.
So I just want to point that out that, we've been through some hard times, but we're, we
We
can't.
want to stay where we're at, that's all.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
You give us some advantages by moving to the fully
Like you
financially.
said, those fully insured premiums, you pay them in regardless, and fully insured rates are considerably more higher. See, I told you, there's my YouTube, and I told you it was coming. They're considerably higher. I'm just gonna leave everybody a butt cake and quit talking. And I can ask for more
I think
information.
you're gonna have to do a lot worse than more hiring this.
Let's get the mask, the benefit of the mask, because y'all can't see me blush.
Any questions of Julie? I don't have anything.
We will get the renewal from TAC. They say by September 15th, we hope to have it earlier than that. So as soon as we have that information, we'll get in touch with Ida, and then we'll be back for court, or whatever that's gonna look like, to get y'all's approval. But if anything comes up in the meantime, we'll certainly get in touch with Ida, and she'll holler at y'all.
As of right now, we're still doing the 1 year, we still do it. Unless it's something changes.
Yeah.
Lord knows not, of course.
You never know. I hope it changes for the better. I'll find out tomorrow if my kids are gonna go back to school or have the option to go back to school. And
Isn't that crazy? We don't even know.
I just want them, I'm a small town girl. I just want my kids in school because I think that they need it. I don't want to put them in harm's way, but they're in harm's way every day.
Yeah.
I want them to go back to school. So anyway, fingers crossed that we get good news tomorrow. So I'm not a homeschool mama for sure. They need to interact with more than just me.
Teachers get raises now.
Oh, yeah.
My gosh. Let me tell you, the end of year teacher gifts last year they were nicer than years past because I knew what teachers did, but I didn't feel it in my bones. And after remote learning, I felt it in my bones. Yeah. So.
I keep seeing these deals on Facebook where after kids are at home, said, I've passed the teacher wasn't the problem.
Oh, I knew the teacher wasn't the problem, but you're exactly right. So. Okay, well then we'll get out of y'all's hair. Enjoy the treats. Of course.
Very nice to meet you guys.
You're in.
Y'all mind if y'all would just take those with you
Yeah.
and put them in the trash?
Okay. All right.
All right,
I guess
thank y'all.
Thank you. You as well.
Y'all stay
We
safe.
well, when you talk,
Do what? We actually had a call with him yesterday because we didn't want to do this without his input, and he's doing well. We kind of knew after he had his grandbaby last year that things might change a little bit, But then you throw COVID into the mix and it was time.
Yeah,
So, but I was sure telling Judge Moore who we have to hear from you.
All right. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you, all y'all
Thank
say.
you. Okay, Judge.
All right, so I guess just to summarize, looks like we're doing all right. We seem to have a good cash balance, and then if we can switch some funding into it, I think we ought to be able to maintain our coverage at the same price. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so, anyone else have anything about the insurance? No, I don't. Okay. All right, then, I think we'll stand in recess. It's 3:32. We'll stand in recess until